Fantasy fanfiction. I sell agricultural dump trucks, you say I sell arms. Chapter 31. At the end of the month, the first batch of 3MX will leave the factory at Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory. The first batch of test vehicles totaled 100 vehicles, which were then selected for various tests. Everyone was satisfied with the test results. So Lu Ming waved his hand, and the new 3MX Mayan from Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory was officially launched for sale. But before that, there is one important thing that needs to be dealt with. That is to hold a product launch. When the Desert Crosser first came off the production line, they should have organized a press conference. But at that time, the factory had been bankrupted by Kue Lu Ming, so how could he still have money to hire the media? But this time it's different. At this time, Lu Ming's pocket was very rich. Some time ago, the deposit for the Desert Traverser alone was over 400 million. Excluding the cost of assembling the production line and purchasing various technologies from the system, the company currently has over 300 million in its accounts. That's more than enough money to hold a press conference. The next day, Lu Ming asked Song Kangming to contact some media. And he himself came to the Ziyang Municipal Administration Hall. For Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory, Ziyang City has given great support. This time, Lu Ming plans to invite local senior officials to highlight new products. Focusing on a family. In the Ziyang Municipal Administration Hall, Lu Ming saw Zhao Shan, who had just finished a meeting. After making his intention clear, Zhao Shan was a little stunned. You said you are going to launch a new product. It's only been a few days and a new product has been released. And the Desert Crosser is so popular. If you don't focus on the Desert Crosser, why are you working on a new car? Xiao Lu, it's not me that interferes with the management of your factory. You can't take this step too far. The meal must be eaten one bite at a time, and the road must be walked step by step. There is no need to rush. Zhao Shan looked at Lu Ming and said seriously. The young man was very energetic, and after he had money, Zhao Shan was afraid that Lu Ming would mess around. He knew that Lu Ming had almost brought the Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory to bankruptcy before. Because of Da Mao, Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory finally survived. He even discussed with local officials how to build Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory into a star enterprise in Ziyang City just after the meeting. As a result, Lu Ming turned around and did this to him. Zhao Shan was afraid. I'm afraid that the star company that just showed some signs of success will die like this. Mayor Zhao, don't worry, I guarantee this new product will be a hit. With that said, Lu Ming took out several sets of photos and handed them to Zhao Shan. Zhao Shan glanced at Lu Ming suspiciously, and then took the photo. At first glance, Zhao Shan was stunned. Is this a farm vehicle? That's right. You sure? Sure. Zhao Shan looked at the photo of the new vehicle in disbelief and couldn't help himself for a long time. The combination of technology and power. In the words of today's young people, Thai pants are hot. No wonder Lu Ming launches new products so quickly. If this is the case, then ordering should not be a problem. As the top leader in Ziyang City, Zhao Shan quickly understood the potential of this product. He had a hunch that the Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory would become popular again this time. As the star industry of Ziyang, Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory, Ziyang may also have to take advantage of it and lose its face in front of the people of the country. Zhao Shanhei's mind was racing, thinking about how to maximize the benefits of this opportunity. Soon, Zhao Shan had an idea in his mind. He put down the photo and said with a smile. Hold a press conference, no problem. But it can't be in your factory. This time it was Lu Ming's turn to be confused. Why can't our product launch be held in our own factory? Why? Why else? Zhao Shan shook his head helplessly. How dare you let your old, shabby little factory appear in front of the camera? Lu Ming, what you always say makes sense. I was speechless. In the past, Lu Ming didn't think it was a problem. He didn't really care whether the factory was big or dilapidated. As long as it makes money. But as the Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory's reputation has grown, the current factory area is indeed a bit unsightly. To put it more exaggeratedly. Just like the famous Microsoft factory is a small workshop. This sharp contrast is simply unacceptable. This press conference will be held at the central square. You are our star company in Ziyang and our pride in Ziyang. Therefore, we in Ziyang must fully support this new product launch conference. Lu Ming was stunned by what Zhao Shan said. City Center Square. No. Why was my agricultural vehicle launch event arranged in the city center square? That place is the most developed area in Ziyang City, surrounded by bustling commercial streets. In that kind of situation, my 3 jumpers are not suitable. Mayor Zhao, isn't this inappropriate? What's inappropriate? Are we a farm vehicle? What happened to farm vehicles? Farm vehicles are inferior. Zhao Shan glanced at Lu Ming displeased as he spoke. I'm not talking about you, Xiao Lu. You are also considered a practitioner in the agricultural industry. You can't look down on your roots. Your thoughts are unacceptable. What happened downtown? People in the city center don't need to eat. Without the production tools you produce, what would farmers use to produce? If farmers don't produce, what will they eat? Zhao Shan looked at Lu Ming righteously with a serious tone. Lu Ming smiled bitterly upon hearing this. Is that what I mean? I mean, the atmosphere doesn't match. This is like running into a temple to offer incense to Sanqing. It's so inconsistent. However, when Zhao Shan said this, Lu Ming did not intend to refute. Anyway, I won't suffer any loss. Okay then, I'll have someone transport the prototype car there later. This is right. Zhao Shan nodded with satisfaction when he saw Lu Ming agreed. In addition, in order to cooperate with you in launching new products, I will make a call to the city TV station later and ask them to come over, so you can prepare. Since it is a press conference, the media must be invited. But most of the time, it's some online media. Established TV media rarely participate. Despite the impact of the internet, the ratings of TV media have declined sharply. But it is undeniable that television stations represent authority. To a large extent, television stations are the official voice channels. Then thank you Mayor Zhao. Lu Ming felt happy when he heard this. It would be perfect to have a TV station participate in the press conference. Even though it's just a local TV station, it's something to be thankful for. The next day, the press conference was crowded with people. An open-air podium was set up in the busiest area of downtown Ziyang. There was also something covered by a red cloth on the stage. The people watching around were talking about it. Backstage, Lu Ming saw that almost all the media were present and nodded to Song Kangming on the side. Then Lu Ming stood up, took a deep breath and walked towards the front desk. Everyone, first of all, on behalf of Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory, I welcome everyone to our new product launch conference. I am Lu Ming, the person in charge of this press conference. Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory. After hearing Lu Ming's words, the crowd at the scene was in an uproar. How come you, an agricultural machinery factory, went to the city center to hold a new product launch conference? Wait a minute, why is the name Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory so familiar? Brother, are you from out of town? How do you know? Who in the area doesn't know about Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory? So famous. Let's put it this way, an agricultural machinery factory almost turned itself into a military factory. I remembered it. Isn't that the agricultural machinery factory that produces the Desert Crosser? 666, I just said why this name is so familiar, it turns out to be this agricultural machinery factory. Nah, I actually came across the Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory's press conference today. I'm so excited. Aren't you curious about what their new product is? Looking at the outline of the red cloth cover, it looks like a car. Is it another Desert Crosser type? 233, if so, then Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory is almost a military enterprise, ha ha ha. Quote. On the open-air podium, Lu Ming raised his brows slightly as he listened to the buzzing discussion in the audience. He took the microphone and said, I just heard what the audience said about the military factory. What military factory? Where is the military factory here? Ao's Agricultural Machinery Factory is an authentic agricultural machinery factory that has been committed to promoting the transformation and upgrading of the agriculture, rural areas and agriculture industry. Whoever says we are a military factory again, be careful and I will sue you for defamation. This city center is the most prosperous place in Ziyang. There are many young people coming and going. Because of the popularity of desert travelers in the past, these young people have more or less heard the rumors about the Ao's agricultural machinery factory. Huh. The audience in the audience booed when they heard Lu Ming's words. I knew it was a press conference, but I didn't know it and thought it was a crosstalk scene. You don't believe it, do you? Then let me prove it to you. As he spoke, Lu Ming waved to the side of the open-air podium. Then several beauties wearing cheongsam came up from the audience. The figure is graceful and the walk is graceful. As soon as he appeared on the scene, he attracted the attention of many wolf friends. Several girls came to the red cloth on the edge of the stage and looked at the audience with smiles. Open it, lest they keep saying we are a military factory. Lu Ming said half-jokingly. As Lu Ming finished speaking, several girls lifted up the red cloth together, revealing the true face of Lucian inside. Seeing this thing, the audience's eyes widened. What the hell? Sports car? No, aren't you an agricultural machinery factory? Why did you start producing sports cars? Look clearly, the wheelbarrow in front of you is not a sports car, it's a three-wheeler. Whose Sanbengsi looks like this? This is so handsome. Quote. When the audience saw the new car for the first time, they were unconsciously shocked. Many people are familiar with Sanbengsi. But this is the first time for everyone to see such a handsome Sanbengsi. At the same time, a trace of doubt arose in everyone's mind. Why is your farm Type 3 bouncer so handsome? The invited reporters in the audience raised their cameras to take pictures of the vehicles on the stage. As you can see, this vehicle is the latest product designed by RO's agricultural machinery factory. This is a farm tricycle. I said that we are an agricultural machinery factory and are committed to promoting the agriculture, rural areas and agriculture industry. This car is the new generation of transportation we designed for agricultural industry practitioners 3MX. After Lu Ming finished speaking, the scene was in an uproar. Needless to say, these people were shocked by the sharp styling of 3MX Mayan. Lu Ming on the stage ignored the situation and continued to explain. This 3MX Mayan abandons the previous design concept of agricultural tricycles. Who said agricultural tricycles can only be practical? Who says it can't have its own aesthetic? Our 3MX Mayan adopts a brand new design, which is a combination of strength and aesthetics. While ensuring its high-intensity operation characteristics, we also improved its handling and comfort to give you a perfect driving experience. Its front suspension has cancelled the original cross-type design and instead adopts a more advanced single-swing arm design. The frame part is also a brand new truss-type frame. In addition, our car bodies are all made of brand new composite materials, which are anti-rust and anti-dent. It truly means that one car can be passed down to 3 generations, and the car will still be there when people use it. Lu Ming boasted on the podium. The audience below had astonishment on their faces. A chariot driven by God has been passed down to 3 generations, but a chariot driven by people is still there. But should I say it, this car is really cool. What's the price like? At this time, a reporter in the audience shouted loudly. Good question. Lu Ming on the stage cast an appreciative look at the reporter. If you don't ask about the price, how can I start showing off? This reporter guy is on the way. Don't leave later, I'll add chicken drumsticks for you. Our 3MX Mayan comes in 2 versions. One is a semi-enclosed cockpit, priced at $25,000. Fully enclosed cockpit, priced at $35,000. Boom. The crowd burst into laughter upon hearing the offer. The price of such a handsome car is only $35,000. Fire. This car is an absolute blast. Even if many people at the scene are not engaged in agricultural production, they know that this car will definitely become popular across the country after it is launched. You have to have good looks, and you have to have strength and strength. The most important thing is that it is cheaper to ride a horse. This car is not popular, God cannot tolerate it. This car is so cool. It makes me want to buy one and play around with it. Today is an eye-opener for me. This is the first time I've seen a sports car-shaped agricultural 3-wheeler. PFF'd haha, I seem to have seen these cool 3 bouncers everywhere in rural areas. This is so hot. Many people in the crowd looked at the car with fondness. Again, Although most people here are not engaged in agricultural production, the aesthetic aspect is still online. With a price of 30,000 yuan and cool looks, what kind of bike do you need? The atmosphere at the press conference was lively. Lu Ming explained the advantages of 3MX in detail, and the press conference came to an end. Then Zhao Shan walked onto the stage. The top leaders of Ziyang City took the stage in person, and the crowd was in an uproar again. After the press conference, the media also rushed to report it. Yujian is so proud that when we first met, we fell in love at first sight. Yujian was hard to let go of. Single quote. Born to be strong, born for your work, 3MX will give you strength. Single quote. 3MX Mayan redefines agricultural tricycles. Single quote. Ao's agricultural machinery factory's new generation product, 3MX, is priced from 25,000. Single quote. Single quote, comma, single quote. With media reports, 3MX has gradually entered the public's field of vision. Many netizens felt that these reports were exaggerated. In everyone's inherent concept, what's so good about an agricultural three-bouncer? However, when they saw the pictures or videos, they were confused. First glance. Exclamation mark. Sports car. Second glance. 3 jumpers. At the same time, in a rural area east of Ziyang. Zhang Cheng is a young man who has returned to his hometown. I also worked hard in big cities when I was young, but after a few years I still didn't save much money. Reluctantly, Zhang Cheng returned to his hometown. Their family contracted more than 100 acres of land. His parents were old, so he came back to help out. In November, the corn harvest in Shanlu province has just been completed. At this time, winter wheat has been sown in the fields. Calculating the time, now is the time to irrigate the wheat with the first water before winter. However, it is a little inconvenient for their family to irrigate every time. Among other things, irrigation requires chemical fertilizers. Their only means of transporting fertilizer is an old sandbank. This 3-bouncer is still an antique that is turned by the handlebar and started by the crank. It's okay in summer, the engine isn't too cold and it's easy to start. But when winter comes, it becomes difficult. He and his father couldn't crank the engine together. The engine must be warmed with hot water before it can be started. So these days, Zhang Cheng wants to buy a new sandbank. After discussing with his father, Zhang Cheng took the money and went to the county seat. Arriving at an agricultural machinery dealership, Zhang Cheng found that the door was crowded with people. These people blocked the door of other people's houses and talked a lot. Uncle, what are you doing? Zhang Cheng stepped forward curiously, patted an uncle on the shoulder, and asked softly. Because young people in rural areas have gone out to work, agricultural machinery dealerships are usually deserted. In other words, the passenger flow is not bad during the busy farming season. But what happened today? Young man, we are looking at the car here. Watch cars. No, old man, I have lived for more than 40 years, and this is the first time I have seen such a high-level 3-bouncer. What the hell? Zhang Cheng was confused after hearing this. Isn't the sandbank a very common agricultural vehicle? Why are you still involved with senior people? Do you think this is a sports car? Thinking of this, Zhang Cheng smashed his mouth. There are some things that you are born with. If you don't have them in this life, don't expect them. Such as a sports car. Zhang Cheng shook his head and ignored the group of people at the door. Squeezed straight into the dealership. However, when he saw sandbank with everyone watching, he was dumbfounded. The gorgeous orange body shows its arrogance and dominance. With a large front face and squinted eyes, it combines a sense of fashion with a sense of technology. At the same time, the thick front rocker arm also gives this car an unparalleled sense of muscle. Isn't this a sandbank? So handsome. How can I sell this car? Zhang Cheng fell in love with this car at just one glance. It just so happened that he was here to buy a car today, so he immediately stepped forward to inquire about the price. You want to buy a car? The boss of the dealership looked at Zhang Cheng and asked suspiciously. His business has been booming these days. All this is thanks to the 3MX Mayan in front of me. Because they are relatively close to Ziyang, they grabbed a batch of cars faster than other dealers. At this time, the boss felt proud that he was from Ziyang for the first time. Yes, what kind of car is this? Zhang Cheng asked impatiently. Do you know O's agricultural machinery factory? Their new product is 3MX. You can also see the sharp appearance of this car, and the headlights use spectrum LED technology. There is a single rocker arm at the front, which improves the driving experience. The truss frame at the rear increases the car's cargo capacity. Although the standard cargo capacity is 600 kilograms, after testing, this thing can pull 9 tons. Hiss. Hearing the boss's words, Zhang Cheng took a deep breath. 9 tons. Anyone who has lived in rural areas knows this. Sanbengxi is an out-and-out production tool, plus it is cheap and durable. Therefore, few people will actually only pull goods with a specified weight. As long as the axle is continuous, you can install it for me. But despite this, the exaggerated weight of 9 tons also made Zhang Cheng confused. Besides that, the car is very easy to drive. Motor-driven, powerful. Not to mention the configuration, luxurious instrument panel, 4-spoke steering wheel, LED reading lights, center console, electronic flameout, electronic steering, adjustable seats, etc. I'm not bragging, its configuration is more advanced than some cars. Zhang Cheng became more and more shocked as he listened to his boss's words. When he heard the end, he didn't believe it. Boss, your boasting is too outrageous. He admitted the car was handsome. But no matter how handsome he is still a fool. Are you going to compare the configurations of a 3-legged car with a sedan? Isn't this a fantasy? Hey, why don't you believe it? When the boss heard Zhang Cheng questioning his words, he immediately quit the job. I'm telling you, this car is the first batch. I managed to get 10 of them. There are only the last 2 left. They are from all over the country. If I brag, the folks won't poke my spine. Zhang Cheng couldn't help but hesitate a little when he saw the boss's assurance. The boss seemed to notice his heartbeat and added fuel to the fire. These are the last 2. If you miss it for a short time, you won't be able to buy it. Zhang Cheng gritted his teeth when he heard this. Can I take it for a test drive? He was really moved. When he first saw the car, he felt he had to buy one. Anyway, he is here to buy a car today, why not pick one he likes? Then again, if it doesn't work, just don't do it later. You will know if this car is useful or not after a test drive. Under the guidance of his boss, Zhang Cheng started the car. When the motor started, Zhang Cheng fell in love with this feeling. It was obviously a 3-wheeler for agricultural use, but he felt a beastly power from inside that could only be found in a sports car. And the boss didn't lie to him. This car actually has the configurations the boss mentioned. He asked just now. The car he test drove had a fully enclosed cockpit and was more expensive. 40,000 yuan. But with this good looks and configuration, what kind of bike do you need for 40,000 yuan? After a test drive, Zhang Cheng immediately signed a car purchase contract with his boss. After the contract is signed, the car belongs to him. As soon as Zhang Cheng finished signing the contract, the door to the room was pushed open. A man in his 30s ran in from outside. Boss, I got the money. Is the car still there? The man panted and looked at the boss and asked anxiously. When the boss heard this, he looked at Zhang Cheng and gave him a helpless expression. You're late, it was just sold. Ah, sold. The man looked at the boss in disbelief. Following the boss's gaze, he realized that there was another person in the room. Hadron. Seeing Zhang Cheng, the man said in surprise. Cousin, why are you here? Coincidentally, the man was Zhang Cheng's cousin Zhang Lei. After seeing Zhang Cheng, Zhang Lei stepped forward. Chinxi, how about I give you an extra 1,000 yuan and give me this car? Zhang Lei looked at Zhang Cheng with hope, hoping that the other party would agree to his request. Zhang Cheng shook his head without thinking when he heard this. Cousin, please stop joking. I managed to grab the last one with a fully enclosed cockpit. You also know that our family has contracted more than 100 acres of land, and we are about to buy fertilizer. I also need a car. Zhang Lei heard this and no longer pressed. Just turned around and looked at the boss. Boss, when will the next batch of cars arrive? This will probably take a long time. The boss smiled bitterly. This time, they are close to Ziyang and have a geographical advantage. But looking at the current situation, 3MX will soon become popular across the country. By then, Dealers from all over the country will definitely flock to Ziyang to order cars. He was thinking about snapping up the next batch of cars, but it would be difficult. Boss, I'll give you a deposit of 5,000 yuan, and you can keep one for me when the next batch of cars arrives. That's it. After saying that, Zhang Lei picked up Zhang Chang and walked out without waiting for the boss to agree. Quick, quick, give me some pleasure. At the gate, Zhang Lei couldn't wait to say to Zhang Chang. Similar situations are not only in Ziyang. All agricultural machinery dealers who grabbed the first batch of vehicles encountered similar things. At first, these dealers were hesitant when ordering cars. Although 3MX Mayan is very handsome and very cost-effective. But in the final analysis, it is still a three-bouncer. People in rural areas are not necessarily willing to spend 30,000 to 40,000 yuan to buy a Sanbangxi. Turns out, they were wrong. How wrong? Although Sanbangxi is widely popular in rural areas, most of them are antiques. In the past, everyone had no choice. Now that there are replacement products, people in need will naturally not be stingy with spending tens of thousands of dollars to buy a car. After buying the car, Zhang Chang parked it in his yard. He didn't do anything, just squatted in front of the car and giggled. After a long time, Zhang Chang took out his mobile phone, took a video of his car, and then uploaded it to a certain website. Originally, he just wanted to share his joy of buying a car. However, he still underestimated the appeal of 3MX Mayan. After the video was uploaded, many people who saw it spontaneously forwarded and liked it. Soon, the video went viral. Like Zhang Chang, many netizens were deeply attracted when they first saw 3MX. Joe, is this a three-bouncer? So handsome. I love this thick single swing arm. What the hell? What's going on? When I woke up, the Bugatti was in trouble. Bugatti, this is a new car from OS Agricultural Machinery Factory, and its name is 3MX Mayan. Where can I buy it? Upstairs, you can ask at your agricultural machinery dealer at that time, or go to the official website of OS Agricultural Machinery Factory to order, but you have to queue up to order and you need to wait for a long time. Nah. I just ordered one on the official website, and I'm waiting in line until May next year. Is this car so popular? You have to be good-looking, and you have to be strong and capable, and it only costs 30 or 40,000 yuan. How can you not be popular? I should say he is really handsome, but without that, beep beep beep, sound, it feels like the soul is missing QAQ. Single-cylinder diesel engines, multi-port diesel engines, and motors are all optional. How come you, a farm vehicle, are more handsome than my sedan? Quote. The video went viral on the internet, and more netizens began to notice this car. The cool appearance is the first factor that attracts netizens. After some detailed understanding, netizens praised it as a work of conscience. When 3MX became popular on the entire internet, Ziyang City quickly issued an announcement. The general meaning is that Ziyang City has fully relaxed the standard that agricultural vehicles cannot enter the urban area. Except for the area within the first ring of the city center, agricultural vehicles can enter the urban area. At the same time, Ziyang City has also launched a convenient licensing service. The main thing is to serve the farmer uncles. Ziyang City's approach, coupled with the popularity of 3MX Mayan itself, has successfully put this car on the hot search list. Like Ziyang. 233, OS Agricultural Machinery Factory is a star industry in Ziyang and should be strongly supported. Okay, everyone knows that 3MX is produced in Ziyang, so stop showing off QAQ. My big Ziyang cattle batch. OS Agricultural Machinery Factory cattle batch. 3MX Mayong cattle batch. I am a native of Ziyang. I saw several cars like this when I went out today. They are so handsome. My home is near the OS Agricultural Machinery Factory. This car is very popular right now. They are being pulled out one after another. It's true, I ordered one and am waiting in line until next year, woohoo. Who says agricultural vehicles can't be handsome? 3MX, am not convinced. Do you know how high quality this car is? I vaguely remember their slogan. One car is passed down to 3 generations, and the car is still there when people use it. Quote. 3MX is on fire. It became a complete hit once it was launched. In the agricultural vehicle market, 3MX is going crazy. At O's agricultural machinery factory, several production lines are almost spinning. The workers worked in 3 shifts and worked in full swing. To say who has more leisure time, I'm afraid it's Lu Ming and the security guard at the door, Old Zhao. At the factory gate, Lu Ming and Lao Zhao squatted at the door of the security room, smoking cigarettes one after another. How come you, a big boss like you, have the nerve to come to my place to smoke cigarettes every day? Old Zhao glanced at Lu Ming dissatisfied. He expressed strong dissatisfaction with Lu Ming's behavior of rubbing cigarettes with his subordinates. Old Zhao, I found a problem. What is the problem? Wazi like you is easier to smoke. Today, Lao Zhao brought a box of Wazi that Lu Ming had never seen before. The packaging is different from the ones sold on the market, but the taste is very soft. Much better than the average Wazi. Old man, I only have a few cigarettes in total, but you and Lao Song used them all. This cigarette is the welding smoke I rolled myself. Roll it yourself. What? Not used to it? No, I mean you can roll it up a little for me next time. Lao Zhao. Old man, I have lived for decades, and this is the first time I have seen such a shameless boss like you. Are you embarrassed to say this? Just as he was talking, Song Kangming ran over from the side. Oh my god, I've been exhausted these past few days. Lao Zhao, let's have a cigarette to relieve our fatigue. Song Kangming came to the 2 of them and squatted on the ground in the same manner. Then he touched Lao Zhao's pocket without any regard for shame. Hey, it's gone. It's gone. Lao Zhao wanted to stop him, but he couldn't resist Song Kangming's skill. Snap. Song Kangming lit a cigarette and took a deep breath. Tisk. Old Zhao looked at Lu Ming and Song Kangming puffing away, and sighed helplessly. What a bad person. Why are you here? You're not busy anymore. Lu Ming looked at Song Kangming curiously. Song Kangming is taking care of everything in the factory these days. Oh, I would have forgotten if you didn't tell me. Just now there was news from the official station, saying that they wanted to interview you. Song Kangming said and took a puff of cigarette. When Lu Ming heard this, he stopped smoking. Why are you interviewing me? Yeah, why are you interviewing him? When Lao Zhao heard this, he curled his lips. How can he be embarrassed to smoke an old doorman's cigarette every day during the interview? Song Kangming shrugged his shoulders and said that he was not sure. But it's most likely related to their latest launch of 3MX. In the afternoon, the official reporter came. Moreover, it was Lu Ming's old acquaintance, agricultural channel host Bing Bing. Bing Bing also followed the live broadcast of the last investigation team. So Lu Ming was no stranger to her. Mr. Lu, thank you for accepting our interview despite your busy schedule. Seeing Lu Ming, Bing Bing smiled. However, Lu Ming's words almost broke Bing Bing's defense. Why is it you again? Lu Ming looked at Bing Bing suspiciously. The smile on Bing Bing's face froze. Mr. Lu, don't you welcome me? It's not that you're not welcome, it's just that seeing you reminds me of some bad memories. Bing Bing. Yao recalled that the last time he saw her, he was almost sent in as an arms dealer. Mr. Lu is really good at joking. If you are ready, let's get started. If it weren't for his professionalism, Bing Bing would want to punch this guy. Can you chat? In the office, the official desk staff made a simple arrangement. After debugging the machine, the interview officially began. The live broadcast room of the official agricultural channel was also opened simultaneously. Hello, viewers, we are paying attention to agriculture, rural areas and farmers, and helping farmers develop. This is the official agricultural channel, and I am your old friend Bing Bing. If there's any big news in agriculture recently, it's probably the new agricultural tricycle launched by the Ao's agricultural machinery factory 3MX. Today we are honored to meet Mr. Lu Minglu, the owner of Ao's agricultural machinery factory. Mr. Lu, say hello to everyone. After Bing Bing finished speaking to the camera, she turned to look at Lu Ming, signaling him to say hello to the audience. Lu Ming didn't show any stage fright, he smiled and waved. Hello everyone, I am Lu Ming, the owner of Ao's agricultural machinery factory. As we all know, your factory's newly launched 3MX is very popular in the agricultural market. Everyone is curious, what made you develop such a product? Bing Bing asked the first question. Many people are also paying attention to the degree issue. When it comes to Santank C, everyone subconsciously thinks that this thing is as durable as it is made. As for whether it is beautiful or not, whether it is comfortable to drive or not, no one cares. But 3MX has subverted people's perception. So everyone is curious as to why Lu Ming developed such an agricultural vehicle that has both good looks and strength. There are two main reasons. Lu Ming thought about it and said. The first point is that we are an agricultural machinery factory, and agricultural vehicles are inherently within our business scope. Agricultural tricycles have always been perceived as low-end products. Everyone thinks that agricultural vehicles have a large cargo capacity, are economical and durable, and that comfort, good handling, good appearance, etc. have nothing to do with agricultural vehicles. But with the development of the times, I think this concept should change. I don't know if you know that the user group of agricultural tricycles is not static. The earliest group of users born in the 60s and 70s are slowly getting older, and those born in the 80s and 90s have gradually grown into the main force. The thinking of these new generations is very different from that of the older generation. They not only care about the ease of use of agricultural vehicles, but also pursue safety, handling, comfort, etc. To put it simply, the new generation of agricultural practitioners want products that are not only easy to use, but also good-looking and easy to drive. The philosophy of our factory is to produce whatever the people need. So based on this concept, our factory developed and produced the latest 3MX. After listening to Lu Ming's words, Bingbing nodded in agreement. Compared with the older generation, the younger generation does have to be more public and individual. I am afraid this is also the main reason why 3MX is so popular across the country. What's the second point? Bingbing looked at Lu Ming curiously. To prove that we are an agricultural machinery factory. When Lu Ming said this, he sat up straight and said with a serious expression. Before we produced desert crossers, some people said we were a military factory. Now we produce 3MX Mayan, which is an authentic agricultural vehicle. Now no one is spreading rumors that we are a military factory. Now no one is spreading rumors that we are a military factory. As soon as Lu Ming said this, Bingbing, the one next to him, couldn't help laughing. PFF'd, Mr. Lu, you are so funny. Good guy. We've been doing this for a long time, and you're lying in wait here. The water friends in the live broadcast room were also happy when they heard Lu Ming's words. 233, do you have such a strong desire to survive? This is for fear that I will be sent in. If you didn't tell me, I would have forgotten that you are an agricultural machinery factory, ha ha ha. One thing to say, the 3MX Max launched by OS this time is so handsome, I was a little moved when I saw it. Don't be impulsive upstairs. Although the 3MX Mayan is handsome, it is ultimately an agricultural vehicle and cannot enter urban areas. If you say that, I have to give Ziyang City a thumbs up. Quote. The interview continues. Bingbing continued to ask, Mr. Lu, some netizens on the internet have questioned the practicality of the 3MX Mayan car. What do you think? Since 3MX became popular, some netizens on the internet have indeed questioned whether it is flashy or unrealistic. Agricultural vehicles are used for production. Why are you doing it so fancy? Economical and durable is the way to go. Lu Ming also understood these remarks. But he ignored it. There are always some people on the internet who claim to be sober and smart. They started making all kinds of comments without any actual understanding. It seems to make some sense, but in fact it is completely nonsense. As an agricultural vehicle, 3MX adopts a truss frame design. This design is inspired by our country's bird's nest stadium. Compared with the old frame, the truss frame is 30% lighter but 15% stronger. And our frame is completely automated and integrated welding, and the body stability and load-bearing capacity are also stronger. After testing, its maximum load capacity can reach 9 tons. In addition, our body is the first to be made of engineering polymer materials, which can never rust. In addition to preventing dents and collisions, it also greatly increases the sensitivity of the car body, and the safety factor is guaranteed. In the end, our front wheel abandoned the traditional crossover design and instead used a single swing arm. While increasing the stability of the vehicle body, it also makes its steering more flexible. Quote. Lu Ming is full of confidence in the 3MX Mayan car. He just said that at the same price, this car is at the ceiling level. Both configuration and practicality are top-notch. Lu Ming's words naturally attracted the approval of many netizens. Anyone who has used the product knows how it is. Not to mention that 3MX has already been used by the first batch of owners at this time. The owner of the car said it was good after using it, so why can't he still explain the problem? As for the remarks of those cloud car owners, just listen to them as a joke. Then Bingbing asked Lu Ming a few more questions, and the interview was finally over. This interview was not long, only about half an hour in total. After the people at the official stage left, Song Kangming couldn't wait to run in. "Boss, please think of a solution quickly." Song Kangming came to Lu Ming's office and said with a wry smile. "Those dealers are crazy. They are placing additional orders one by one. Our order list is almost full for a year. Some dealers have even started bidding secretly." After Song Kangming finished speaking, he breathed a sigh of relief. He thought that 33MX Mayan would be popular, but he never expected that it would be so popular. Even if their production line operates in 3 shifts and works 24 hours a day, they still cannot meet the demand for orders. The demand in this market is so terrifying that Song Kangming is a little panicked. Lu Ming frowned slightly after hearing Song Kangming's words. "Tell those dealers that bidding is not allowed. Anyone who participates in bidding will have their cooperation qualifications cancelled," Lu Ming said calmly. "These dealers' bids may appear to be favorable to them, but they are not. When dealers raise purchase prices, their profits certainly increase in a short period of time. But the result? Will these dealers pay the extra costs themselves? Obviously impossible. In the end, it was the farmer uncle who paid for the dealer's madness. As the cost of buying a car becomes more expensive, sales will inevitably decrease. And it will also ruin their reputation. If things continue like this, it will be very detrimental to the development of the factory. Therefore, dealer bidding must be stopped. We're adding a production line. Nowadays, the sales volume of 3MX has explained everything. When 3MX was first designed, Song Kangming proposed to increase the production line. But Lu Ming refused. The reason is to see the market reaction before making a decision. Now the results are out, they succeeded. 3MX is already sold out. Therefore, adding production lines is the inevitable result and the most appropriate solution. "Okay, I'll do it right now." Song Kangming left in a rage. In the office, Lu Ming was sitting on a chair. The popularity of 3MX was probably within his expectation. It's just that the fire was a bit too much, too fast. The car was already in short supply within a few days of its launch, and they were somewhat unable to react. But these are minor issues. The market has been captured, and the next step is to make money through production. When he thought of this, Lu Ming couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. "I wonder who else dares to say that we are a military-industrial company this time." The military industry enterprise is an eternal pain in his heart. After all, in Sha Kingdom, this thing has to be entered. He didn't want to go out and eat international food at such a young age. But what Lu Ming didn't know was that someone far away in the Joshua area had been paying attention to him. "Deifu, how is the plan prepared?" In a secret underground building in the Gaza area, Halia, the leader of the Hamas resistance organization, came to Diev's room. He originally wanted to ask about the progress of the plan, but as soon as he entered the door, he saw Dave staring at the TV. "It's Sha Guo's live broadcast again. Why are you always paying attention to this?" Halia frowned slightly, a little dissatisfied with Diev's behavior. "The plan is about to be implemented, do you still have time to watch the live broadcast?" "And it's live broadcast in the distant Sha Kingdom. Chief, our steel pipes come from this company." Dai Yifu shook his head and said softly. This company had just launched a new vehicle, and Dave felt that the 3-wheeled vehicle was quite suitable for their style. "But it's still the same sentence. You can buy it, but how to transport it in is a troublesome matter." After hearing what Diev said, Halia relaxed her frown. "We have plans thanks to this company." Halia didn't say much about this topic. After a simple click, his face turned serious. "At 12 o'clock tonight, launch the Asak Flood plan. You ask the people below to prepare. You can only succeed but not fail. Clear. Dai Yifu narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this. They have been preparing for the Isak flood plan for a long time. The purpose is to retaliate against Israel. They want the other party to taste the fury of revenge. As night falls, there are undercurrents surging under the seemingly calm night. Somewhere in the desert in the Joshua area, the miserable moonlight shone on the sand, and everything seemed so quiet. Suddenly, something seemed to be stirring on the ground in the darkness. Immediately afterwards, a curtain disguised as a desert color was lifted, revealing a shadowy figure inside. These people took advantage of the darkness and quickly ran back and forth on the scene, seeming to be carrying something. If anyone were present at this time, they would definitely be surprised. Because it is no one else who is carrying supplies back and forth here under the moonlight. They are really armed members of the Hamas resistance organization who are very famous in the Gaza Strip. The soldiers loaded the rockets one by one onto the launcher. Even in order not to expose the target, they did not use any lighting facilities. Just relying on the moonlight to move. It didn't take long for all the rockets to be loaded onto the launchers. After a brief tidying up, these soldiers all hid in the darkness and lay quietly under the slope not far away. About 20 meters in front of them was a rocket launcher with a cold light. Rockets were inserted into the launcher one after another, and they were so densely packed that it made people shudder. Time passes minute by minute. An armed man lay quietly on the ground, staring at the watch on his wrist. The one where the hour hand and minute hand coincided. He suddenly pressed down the remote control in his hand. The next second, flames shot into the sky. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Rockets shot into the sky one after another. The long tail flame cut through the silent night sky, flying towards the territory of Israel like shooting stars. Gorgeous and dangerous. Not only in this area, but also in other places, there were dense tail flames cutting through the night sky. On the other side, a warning sound suddenly sounded in Israel. The piercing siren sounded particularly loud in the quiet night. At 12 o'clock in the morning, many people woke up from their sleep when they heard the siren. Everyone looked up to the sky in unison. The dense firelight illuminated the night like day. Before everyone could react, dense tail flames also rose up in Yigyu. It was an interceptor missile launched by Israel's Iron Dome prevention and control system. The tail flames of both sides got closer and closer, and at a certain moment they completely merged together. Violent explosions and flames pierced the sky. Then a rumble of explosions spread from the air. Suddenly, the Israeli side was in chaos. Many people fled for their lives. However, these people were quickly drowned in the pale and dazzling explosion flames. Suddenly, the area under attack in Israel was in chaos. Cries and explosions mixed together, like a purgatory on earth. In a military base on the border between Israel and Gaza, Top Commander Salma Bahaka woke up from her dream when she heard explosions outside. He casually put on some clothes and came to the command room. "What's the situation?" Facing Salman's roar, the soldiers on duty in the command room turned pale. General, we are under fire, rocket attack from Hamas." The soldier looked at the dense red dots on the air radar and stammered. "Where's our venting system? Activated. Then why are there explosions outside? Too much." The tone of the Israeli soldier was almost crying. "General, they fired too many rockets, and our Iron Dome interception system couldn't stop them at all." "What?" When Salman heard this, he staggered twice. He quickly ran to the window, and through the window he saw the rocket tail flames shining like stars in the night sky outside. "It's over." Salman knew he was doomed when he saw the firelight outside. "Notify headquarters immediately, we have been attacked by Hamas rockets and request support." Boom, boom, boom. Before Salman finished speaking, a violent explosion sounded in the base. Explosive flames shot up into the sky. The command room where he was instantly engulfed in the flames of the explosion. A few minutes later, the Israeli High Command received a request for help from the front line. When the officials of the High Command learned the news, their first reaction was disbelief. The Gaza Strip is tightly blocked by them. There is no way that the Hamas resistance organization can obtain such a large number of rockets. However, the facts were before their eyes, and they couldn't help but not believe it. Soon, the Israeli High Command took action and dispatched troops to the front line. At the same time, military supplies were mobilized to prepare for war. At dawn the next day, when the support troops arrived at the front line one after another, everyone was stunned. There were collapsed houses everywhere, and the remains of severed arms could still be seen under the rubble. Even after a night, the war here still has not extinguished. Vehicles affected by the explosion were engulfed in flames. The crackling sound of flames stimulated the sensitive nerves of every Israeli soldier. Such a horrific rocket attack was something no one expected. Israel never dreamed that the Hamas resistance organization blocked by them would be able to launch such a large-scale attack against them. Faced with such a tragic situation, Israel quickly entered a state of war readiness. Troops began to gather on the front line, and all kinds of armored vehicles, tanks, and fighter jets were also moving towards the Gaza Strip. At almost the same time, the Israeli High Command held a press conference. At the press conference, Israeli spokesperson Netanyahu announced in front of the media that Israel had been attacked by rockets from the Hamas armed forces of the Gaza Resistance Organization. Declare the country to be in a state of war readiness and declare war on the Hamas armed forces. As soon as the news came out, there was an international uproar. The feud between Joshua and Yigu has been going on for a long time. There were constant conflicts, large and small, between the two sides. However, since the ceasefire agreement was signed, the overall situation has been relatively stable. But this stability is now broken. After the press conference, Israeli spokesman Netanyahu asked the troops to investigate the truth behind the attack by Hamas armed forces. Joshua was in their complete blockade, and he wanted to know how the other party got so many rockets. The results of the investigation came out quickly. Several photos were sent to Netanyahu's desk. Netanyahu frowned as he looked at the photo in front of him. Because he found that the unexploded rockets captured in these photos were very poorly made. It is very obviously different from regular rockets. In particular, one of the rockets penetrated the ground but did not explode. The text on this rocket can also be seen very clearly through the photo. GBT 309193, Shanlu Ziyang AOC Agricultural Machinery Factory. What the hell is going on? Netanyahu slammed the photo in his hand on the table, looked at the officer on the side and roared. This large-scale rocket attack by the Hamas resistance organization caused their country to suffer losses of at least $1 billion. But until now, they are still confused about how Hamas broke through the blockade and obtained so many rockets. How can this not make Netanyahu furious? Your Excellency, in the early hours of last night, many places, including our frontline headquarters, were attacked by rockets from Hamas resistance forces. According to calculations, the other side fired nearly 5,000 rockets in just half an hour. So, the officer noticed Netanyahu's increasingly angry gaze and his voice became softer and softer. When Netanyahu heard the officer's report, he almost went crazy. 5,000. These are 5,000 rockets. It was transported into the Gaza zone right under their noses. Netanyahu really couldn't understand what was going on. Is it possible that all the troops under his command are doing nothing? It took a long time for Netanyahu to suppress the anger in his heart. Things have already happened. Even if he is angry to death, it will not help. The top priority is to calm the emotions of the domestic people and investigate the reasons. Where's the Iron Dome air defense system? Why isn't it activated? Started. It's activated. Why is it still being bombed after it's activated? The other side launched too many rockets, and our Iron Dome air defense system couldn't defend against them. The officer said with a sad face. The Iron Dome air defense system has always been the country's most proud defense system. I usually brag about it when I have nothing to do. Of course, this Iron Dome air defense system performs really well. Perhaps it is far inferior to the defense systems of big countries such as Xinjiang and Xia. But at least they are top-notch in this area. They have become the little overlords of Gaza with their national strength, and Taichung is indispensable. However, today, their proud Iron Dome air defense system failed. Facts have proved that in the face of absolute numbers, all defenses are futile. When Netanyahu heard the officer's words, he felt like his face was being slapped. Now I want to know how in the world Hamas got so many rockets. 5,000 rockets is not a small number. So many rockets were transported into the Gaza Strip, but they didn't notice it at all. It's hard not to suspect that there's something fishy about it. Your Excellency, according to our investigation, not all rockets used by the Hamas resistance organization are military grade. Only a very small part of them have reached military grade, and most of the rest are indigenous rockets. What's the meaning? Netanyahu frowned slightly. Homemade rockets. Are these rockets divided into indigenous and military grades? Seeing that Netanyahu did not understand what he meant, the officer on the side stepped forward and picked up a photo on the table. He placed the photo in front of Netanyahu, took a deep breath and said, "According to investigations by frontline troops, many rockets used by Hamas have this row of numbers. After comparison, we found that the workmanship of these rockets was rough. This kind of steel pipe is processed and explosives are loaded inside to become a simple rocket. However, the accuracy and lethality of this kind of rocket are much worse than those of military rockets." The officer didn't say a word. Although the power of this homemade rocket is a bit inferior, it can't hold up in large numbers. Yesterday's attack by Hamas was clearly targeted. The small number of military-grade rockets all landed on their frontline bases, and these homemade rockets were intended to hit other targets besides military bases. It can be seen that Hamas also knows that the power of indigenous rockets is not very good. But still the same sentence. Quantitative changes produce qualitative changes. 5,000 rockets are fired in half an hour, your Iron Dome defense system can't stop you. Netanyahu was stunned when he looked at the rockets in the photo, especially the unexplained line, GBT 309193, Shanlu Ziyang Agricultural Machinery Factory. Can steel pipes be processed into rockets? What a crazy move. So the Iron Dome defense system we are so proud of was defeated by this garbage? Netanyahu asked in disbelief as he looked at the officer. He simply couldn't believe that it was these rockets made of steel pipes that defeated the Iron Dome defense system. The officer nodded hard after hearing Netanyahu's words. Although I hate to admit it, this is a fact. Let's hold a press conference. Netanyahu took a deep breath. At this point in the investigation, the answer is already clear. Although this fact is somewhat magical, it is somewhat difficult to accept. But this is reality. Soon, Israel held another press conference. At the press conference, Netanyahu said loudly in front of many media. At 12 o'clock in the morning last night, we suffered a rocket attack from Hamas resistance forces in the Gaza Strip. Within half an hour, Hamas fired more than 5,000 rockets at us, causing huge economic and human losses to us. Based on the investigation, we found that the rockets of the Hamas resistance organization had Shah characters on them. We seriously suspect that Shah State is secretly supporting Hamas resistance forces. On behalf of Israel, I strongly condemn Shah State's behavior of interfering with regional peace, and demand that Shah State compensate us for all losses. In addition, we hope that Shah will publicly apologize for our soldiers and civilians who died in the attack. Quote. At the press conference, Netanyahu said angrily. At the same time, he also published the photos. At this moment, international public opinion was in an uproar. After all, people can lie, but the words on this rocket cannot. Shah Guo's characters are so recognizable. Could it be that Shah Guo is really secretly supporting the Hamas resistance organization in the Gaza Strip? But haven't rabbits always been pacifists? What the hell is going on? Suddenly, everything was available internationally. Some people said that there must be some misunderstanding here, and some conspirators said that Rabbit finally showed his hypocrisy. In the distant Gaza region, neither Hamas nor Israel have anything to do with it. But now, the Rabbit is involved. Although I don't know what happened, the Rabbit must have something to do with it. What the outcome will be depends on how Rabbit responds. After the press conference in Israel, the news quickly spread back to China. The Rabbit took a look and realized something was wrong. When did I secretly support the Hamas resistance? I do not know how. Rabbit. Slander. Pure slander. Yingzhong, do you dare to say that you didn't support the yarn rocket? Rabbit. Absolutely not. We all voted against it in the UN General Assembly, we love peace. Yingzhong, you still have the nerve to say that you love peace. Rabbit. Otherwise, are you going to cause trouble everywhere like you? Yigyu. Rabbit, you idiot. Accompany my loss. Rabbit. Shut up. Isn't your Iron Dome awesome? Pull it out and use it. Israel. do you think I am useless? Our Iron Dome intercepted 850 rockets in half an hour. Rabbit, so 6. Then why were you bombed? Israel, we intercepted 850 missiles, but they fired more than 5,000. Yi Guo, we have investigated and found that these rockets have Sha Guo characters on them. They must be secretly supported by you. Eagle Sauce, Rabbit, what else do you have to say? Rabbit, I didn't. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. Be careful, I will sue you for defamation. Internationally, Rabbit and Eagle Sauce and their allies are arguing with each other and stalling for time. On the other hand, Rabbit also took the time to investigate what was going on. Their Sha characters appeared on the rockets with yarn, which really disgusted the Rabbit. If it weren't for the lack of evidence, Rabbit would have suspected that someone was deliberately framing and smearing them. For so many years, Rabbit has been adhering to the principle of making a fortune silently. How could he support Joshua for no reason? Isn't this nonsense? In response to Israel's accusations, Rabbit held a high-level meeting. Because it was related to the military aspect, several theater leaders of Rabbit were summoned. What the hell is going on? Did any of you secretly provide support to Josh Shaw? In the conference room, the leader, an old man, was not angry. This person is the highest military commander on Rabbit's side, Mr. Chen Huguo. Mr. Chen also looked confused when the rockets fired by the Hamas resistance organization showed Sha characters. From a perceptual point of view, he did not believe that the People's Army would do such a thing behind the scenes. But from an intellectual perspective, several war zones are suspect. Sure enough, after Mr. Chen finished speaking, the leaders of the following war zones shook their heads. They all guaranteed that their theater troops had never supported Josh Shaw. Then what's going on? Mr. Chen placed a photo on the conference table and glanced at everyone. Everyone here is the pillar of the country, so naturally they will not lie in this regard. So what exactly is going on with the yarn-added rockets? Mr. Chen frowned. The photo was passed around the conference table, and several military region bosses took a look at it. Mr. Chen, I think this matter is a bit strange. Zhao Guju, the head of the three armed forces in the Northern Theater, said with suspicion after reading the photo. There is no doubt that the writing on the rocket in the photo is Shah's writing. This is undeniable, but they did not give any assistance to Josh Shaw. What do you say? Mr. Chen looked at Zhao Guju and asked softly. I suspect someone deliberately dragged us into trouble. Zhao Guju looked serious. Over the years, Sha State has been developing in a low-key manner, and its achievements are obvious to all. In this case, it is difficult to ensure that no one will be jealous of them. For example, Hawk Sauce. Drag the Sha kingdom into the whirlpool of war and limit the speed of development. This is indeed in line with Yingzhong's consistent style. I think it's too much of a coincidence. Yes, it was the same at the Shuangmao battlefield before. Ying Chan is trying to drag us into the water. This has an undying desire to kill me. It's too much to bully others. Isn't this a thief's call to catch a thief? After hearing what Zhao Guju said, several military bosses were filled with indignation. In order to develop their strength over the years, they have repeatedly tolerated it. But the Eagle Sauce is a little too pushy. In the conference room, Yan Zhanlong looked at the angry expressions of several big bosses with strange expressions. He wanted to say something, but he lacked the confidence. Although he is the commander-in-chief of the Northern Theater Army, who among you is not higher than him? Let alone Zhao Guju, his direct superior. Others are either the leader or deputy in a certain war zone. He is really not good enough as the head of the army in the Northern Theater Command. Yan Zhanlong looked at the photos on the table, and the more he looked at them, the more absurd he felt in his heart. O's agricultural machinery factory. Others don't know, but he knows it very well. Could it be that guy Lu Ming who did something bad again? It's okay to give 2 cents to a big hair last time. After all, it was an agricultural vehicle. But the rockets used in this attack were genuine rockets. The more Yan Zhanlong thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. Finally, he couldn't bear it anymore. Leaders, don't you think this situation is very familiar? As soon as Yan Zhanlong said this, everyone in the conference room fell silent. Several powerful military leaders looked at Yan Zhanlong in unison. In an instant, he felt a surge of pressure. Tell me more about it. In the end, it was Yan Zhanlong's old leader Zhao Guju who spoke first. Yan Zhanlong took a deep breath and said softly. Isn't it the same thing during the Shuangmao battle before? A battle of two hairs. After listening to Yan Zhanlong's words, everyone fell into deep thought. That seems to be the case. At that time, Mao was also the first to accuse them of secretly supporting Dao Mao. Then Yingzhong jumped out and dealt a burst of damage to them. The current situation is so similar to that of the past. It's just that the protagonist is replaced by Yigyu, and the one who leads the charge is Yingzhong. Do you think this was all planned by Eagle Chan? After Chen Huguo thought for a while, he said with some uncertainty. But even so, we have no evidence. They were suspicious of Eagle Sauce from the beginning. However, without substantial evidence, suspicion can only be suspicion and will not play any role. Yan Zhanlong looked at the expressions of several big bosses and knew that these people might not have reacted yet. Come on, you are all military bosses, so you definitely don't have time to pay attention to things online. I'll do it. Yan Zhanlong sighed silently and said with a strange expression. No, what I mean is that this rocket may really come from our side. What? Our rockets? How can this be? Who is so bold? When several big bosses heard Yan Zhanlong's words, they couldn't sit still. Don't you think this is Yingzhong's conspiracy? Why are you so confident that these rockets are ours? Don't get excited. Leaders, just listen to what I have to say. Yan Zhanlong smiled bitterly and continued. I'm afraid this matter has something to do with this Ao's agricultural machinery factory. O's agricultural machinery factory. Chen Huguo and others noticed this text that appeared on the photo at the beginning. But they didn't think about it. In their opinion, how could an agricultural machinery factory be related to rockets? As for the string of GBT 3091-93 feet at the back, few people paid it any attention. If you have the right to impose a crime, there is no reason to worry. From the beginning, they had preconceptions that this must be Yingzhong trapping them. In other words, it no longer matters what the words on the rocket mean. As long as it is in Sha language. At such a sensitive moment, no one would ask what the words actually meant. As long as everyone knows that this is the text of your Sha kingdom, Yingzhong's plan will succeed. However, listening to Yan Zhanlong's words now, it seems that this is not the case. Yan Zhanlong saw that Chen Huguo and others were not aware of the amazing feats of the Ao's agricultural machinery factory before, so he immediately narrated the story of the Shuangmao battle. After finishing, Yan Zhanlong picked up the photos on the table and said to everyone. Ao's agricultural machinery factory is located in Ziyang City, Shanlu Province, and this serial number is our country's standard building material number, which translates to low-pressure fluid transportation galvanized welded steel pipe. Speak humanly. When Zhao Guju heard this, he glared at Yan Zhanlong with a tigerish face. It means water pipe. Yan Zhanlong had a strange expression. Everyone. What a magical plot. Agricultural machinery factory. Water pipe. Rocket missile. Is there any necessary connection between these three? Isn't it so outrageous? In the conference room, everyone fell into an eerie silence. After listening to Yan Zhanlong's story, several people were confused by the sudden sentence, water pipe. What did they say? What can they say? Are you saying that the agricultural machinery factory no longer produces agricultural equipment, but instead produces rockets? Isn't this nonsense? Everyone's first reaction was disbelief. But the proof is here. If this is not the case, how should we explain the text on the rocket in the photo? So we have been studying for a long time. This is not Yingzhong's conspiracy, but a problem with this agricultural machinery factory. Zhao Guju turned his head and looked at Yan Zhanlong in confusion. Yan Zhanlong nodded. It's most likely. But what does this water pipe have to do with rockets? I don't have any conscience to find out. You mean this is a rocket modified by Gaza Hamas? The development of things was so magical that Zhao Guju and others did not react for a while. But they are experienced people after all. After Yan Zhanlong's reminder, everyone understood instantly. In those war-torn times, their ancestors invented a kind of indigenous cannon. This is what Yan Zhanlong calls heartless cannon, also called flying thunder cannon. It is a simple mortar composed of an iron barrel and an explosive bag. If you think about it this way, it seems that the water pipes can really be connected to the rockets. The craftsmanship of making rockets is not difficult in the first place. If the water pipe is modified, a tail fin is welded to the tail, propellant is inserted into the middle, and a warhead is added to the head. A simple rocket was made. Although this kind of rocket cannot compare with military-grade rockets in terms of accuracy or power. But there are so many of them. Just look at what happened to Israel. Israel's Iron Dome air defense system used all its strength to intercept 850 rockets. The Hamas resistance organization in Jaffa fired more than 5,000 missiles. Under this kind of firepower coverage, what can you do to intercept it? You intercept a DUR, who said only the rich can have firepower. Hamas uses practical actions to tell you that even poverty can cover the country with firepower. With so many rockets, the accuracy is ridiculous. Just blow it up and that's it. I'll be confused later. Zhao Guju waved his hand, rubbed his head and said. So that's how it should be. First, Israel was attacked by Gaza. Then they found our writing on the rockets and thought we were secretly supporting them. Actually, this is not a serious rocket, but a homemade rocket modified from a steel pipe by the Hamas resistance organization. These steel pipes come from the Aus agricultural machinery factory, so they have the place of origin and serial number on them. Do you mean this? Zhao Guju looked at Yan Zhonglong on the side. Yan Zhonglong nodded and gave Zhao Guju a thumbs up. As expected of you, leader, the logic is closed. Piss off. Zhao Guju glanced at Yan Zhonglong angrily. In the conference room, Chen Huguo stood up when he saw that the truth of the matter was revealed. Let the Ministry of Information prepare a press conference and explain the matter clearly. Israel, the province, always tries to get in trouble with us. Although things are a bit magical, the investigation has finally made it clear. Chen Huguo never dreamed that a major incident that alarmed the entire Shah Kingdom military hierarchy would end in such an outrageous way. And what's going on with the Aus agricultural machinery factory? How come you, an agricultural machinery factory, always get involved in the war? Chen Huguo shook his head, turned and left. Everyone else in the conference room looked at me and I looked at you, but they all left in silence. This is so nonsense. They need to take a break. The meeting dispersed and Yan Zhonglong took a military plane back to his base. Soon, Shah Guo held a press conference on Israel's accusations. At the press conference, the diplomatic spokesperson explained the incident in detail and seriously. We also warned the country that what we sell are water pipes produced by agricultural machinery factories, which are civilian products. Don't touch porcelain. As soon as this news came out, international public opinion was instantly in an uproar. Rabbit, the matter is clear, it has nothing to do with us. Eagle sauce, you just don't care. Rabbit, we sell water pipes. Yingzhong, this rocket is made of your materials. Rabbit, we sell water pipes. Eagle sauce, Israel has suffered such huge losses, don't you express your gratitude? Rabbit, we sell water pipes. Yingzhong, why don't you condemn the Hamas resistance organization? Rabbit, we sell water pipes. Yingzhong, can you not mention the water pipe? Rabbit, we sell water pipes. Eagle sauce, Rabbit, QAQ. As Shah Guo made the truth known to the world at the press conference, a public opinion crisis was resolved and visible. Instead, there was a frustrated Yingzhong and Yigyu who was suffering unspeakably. After all, the rabbit said, this is a water pipe. It's a civilian product. If you hold on to it, you are a little bit suspicious of it. Thanks for watching, subscribe and support my channel.